Welcome to the Consultant's Way podcast, your go-to resource for all things professional services consulting. Brought to you by McMann and Anthony, a strategy consulting firm with over 30 years of experience helping B2B organizations achieve sustainable growth, and the Consultant's Way, the leading comprehensive consultant development program. Hosted by Dean McMann and Anthony Paluska, we share expert insights, firsthand experiences, and conversations with industry leaders on the topics that interest you most.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of their employer, company, or affiliated organizations.
Hey, welcome back everybody to the Consultant's Way podcast. Today we are lucky enough to be joined with a guest, Anand Pallapalayam. Anand is the VP of Enterprise Data Protection at LPL Financial and has lots of experience both in this role and in professional services. So we're lucky to have you here. Please provide a brief introduction of yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Dean. Pleasure meeting you both. And thank you for having me, first of all. I am currently, the last 6 months or so, I've taken this new challenging role to be the Vice President of Enterprise Data Protection. So sort of end-to-end data protection at LPL Financial. Data protection, when it comes to many different facets of it. Data security comes under the information security umbrella. And apparently what happens is you have data, and you need to protect that data. That's the core. It's like Earth's core. And beyond that, there is applications that is talking to that data. So application security comes into picture. So the data and applications talk over the network. The next layer is the network, and the network security comes into picture. After that, you have your laptops. You're working from home, working from somewhere. Then you have something called endpoint, the endpoint security. The whole of it surrounded by the perimeter, called perimeter security. So all of it, many layers of firewall, many layers of security, but everything comes boiling down to data. So data, if you protect it, you're good with the remaining all. So that's the idea. And so I took ownership on the data protection end to end. All applications coming in, going out, the data coming in, going out of LPL, all applications, databases. That's a responsibility that I have at LPL at the moment. Before coming to LPL, I had the pleasure of working for a small niche data security firm called Protegrity for 11 plus years, where I did professional services. And since a small company, I should say this, I should not brag about it, I should say this, thankful for Protegrity for trusting me in giving whatever that I wanted. So I wanted to be a trainer. Okay, go for it, Anand. Do it. You are the trainer. I'm a solutions architect. Go for it. Do it. I'm an enterprise architect. Go for it. Do it. I want to do the implementation also. Why do you want to do that? You are at a managerial level, director. Why do you want to do hands-ons? Like if I'm not touching the keyboard, if I'm not running those commands, if I don't do the SQL, I forget it. I don't want to do that. I want to remember the path that I came. And this way, I can raise the bar for my team. Before raising that, I want to raise the bar for myself as well. And so they said, all right, makes sense, do it. So small company, wore many hats, started the training platform from ground zero. There was some little bit of presentations here and there, binders back in those days, 10, 15 years back, just binders. And I thought, no, there is no structure in it. So I formed a structured training, gave away the whole training modules after like about 10 years or so to something called L&D, Learning and Development Team. So at Protegrity, whatever the little thing that I know, if at all I can say I know a little bit, is all from Protegrity that I learned. And now I'm implementing that knowledge into LPL and probably also to other companies that I speak to without having to be on their payroll. Just somebody's asking for, how do I do this? This is how you do it. No big deal, right? So the passion is towards data protection.
Yeah, that's great. And how do you, in your current role, where you don't have the ability to put on every hat and dive into the details of every specific role, how do you scratch that itch today or feel the need to keep your skills sharp and be in the weeds of it while still trying to manage this complex end-to-end enterprise data protection practice?
Who said I don't have this opportunity? I'm stealing that opportunity.
There you go.
So essentially, if I don't find that cap, not because I don't have hairs, but I just find the cap and then wear those caps. Like I go to my the team and say, you're going to engage with that customer. Of course, we don't have customers, meaning I'm not in professional services now at LPL. But eventually, when I talk to the application team, the database team, the governance team, the risk team, the privacy team, they're all my customers. I need to be always in that service mode. If I ever think they're just my colleagues, I can talk to them tomorrow, then I don't do good. I need to treat everybody other than me that I speak to as customers. Only then I flourish, they flourish. And that being said, everybody that I speak to is my customer. I tell my team, when you go talk to the customer, the application teams that's looking for data protection, include me. But your calendar doesn't show up to be available. Let me see. Reschedule certain things, push certain things that I have to do later in the evening, make myself available. Steal that cap. And then I just go there, learn. If I don't continue to keep that learning, I'm done. So I am looking forward to stealing that cap all time, or every time.
Great.
That is so great.
Yeah. So I want to dive into sort of your view of services in a broader sense. And you introduced the complexity of enterprise security and enterprise data protection, all the different touch points, all the different layers associated with that. It's natural to assume that every customer has a unique and differentiated need about how they're going to use your technology and your services to end up getting their outcome. How do you look at that, and how do you balance this concept of our suite of services and products do this, but our customers need that, and how do we bridge that gap?
Great question. We need to learn from the bad as well. What does that mean? Divide and conquer. So when British ruled many, when Romans ruled many, how they were successful, divide and conquer. So the customers, when they come with pouring questions, it's not that I take that they are testing me. It's not that they are trying to avoid by asking questions that I cannot support and say, hey, this product is not good, this team is not. No, not at all. Instead, what I think is take all those questions, put them into bits and pieces, address them, divide and conquer. For instance, if they say, how is it going to perform? That's one question. How is it going to affect my downstream? That's another. How are you including the integration from other pieces? That's a third. And how do you know my upstream is going to support the way how you, it's like all many different questions come through. You cannot address all of it. The main thing that what we do or what we have done is to do a discovery. And that takes time. We call that, from professional services perspective, we call that as a design discovery workshop. And when we do the design discovery workshop, we take all this, put it in its own towers, document them, and then address based on priorities. Eventually, at a very high level, what I tell people is data security can be at its best when you protect the data at the source or closer to the source, let the data flow everywhere else until it finds its destination. That's what we call data at rest in the protected form, and allow only handful of members based on their roles, role-based access control. We shortly call this RBAC, only at data at rest. And so what happens is you have lesser access provided only to those who are authorized. You protect the data at the source, and then everywhere else goes in the protected form. It answers a lot of questions. Now, there can be questions like, hey, I want to validate my data in between. And how do I do that? And that's when it's coming into picture, the topic of validation curation. So you allow only for the service accounts. You allow only for certain applications to do that. So it's like you need to break things down. You cannot address everything on the same day. Break things down and then have a design discovery workshop and address all of it. Put it into documentation. Sometimes we talk and we forget. When we document it, when we put chapters into it, checkbox into it, only then we can address. Initially, it will be like looking chaotic, but it's up to the leaders to just like turn that chaos into a proper all ducks in a row, right? In a proper lane.
And we completely agree, right? That this design discovery workshop and understanding the true customer needs is the only way that long-term organizations can help their customers achieve the outcomes that they're looking for. But it does that's going to rub some people the wrong way or make them a little uncomfortable, because there is this portion of the market that is pushing towards, we are trying to deliver and deploy out of the box solutions. And now you've introduced a design discovery workshop. And now that I know what the customer needs, if I can't just deploy this out of the box, I have to actually do some additional things to it. So how do you, how would you respond to somebody that is looking at this journey of professional services and they're moving more in the other direction, which is, how do we standardize? How do we make everything repeatable and out of the box, tied directly to our software, versus what you're saying and what we would advocate for, which is you actually need to focus on what the customer outcome is and make sure that you're designing and deploying your solutions to accomplish that, independent of what your product can and can't do in that exact moment.
Absolutely. And Dean, you were about to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, the other pressure on them is they believe both some of the technical PS people and management is, hey, get in, get out, get done. Yeah. The fewer the hours, the fewer the time makes it better. And what we believe and you believe, and Anthony just said, no, it's the outcome that makes it better.
100%. So agree to disagree. that's my way to go. Initially, you agree because you don't want to create the heat, and then slowly disagree where you have a better approach. So if I piggyback on that word, out of the box, and again piggyback on that statement that you said, the management wants in and out. You are 100%. You hit the nail on the head, Dean, when you said management wants in and out. And in fact, one of the previous CEOs used to say professional services is like secret services, in and out. Well, in business terms, that looks beautiful. In and out can be great. What if something goes wrong? You are completely out. So no more business. You're completely out, right? So that's why agree to disagree. Now, what I was thinking, and what all I can say, I'm a little bit successful in professional services, and I've been there for like 11 years doing professional services. Time and again, customer wanted me. If that is some success that I can say, I can only attribute to a little bit, like I'm going to piggyback on you, what you said, Anthony, the out of the box, and then what I also call it as outside of the box. Yeah, you have to implement what is out of the box, because you are not engineering. Professional services can be highly technical, can be highly valuable, can be dependent, trusted, all that is good. But if you're trying to do something that is not within the product realm, that is not within the supportability of the product, then that can be a little bit, you're going a little bit off the lane, a problematic scenario, right? So you have to find some balance. So the out of the box is something like you are delivering something that is contractually obligated. Now, everything is like, say, time and material, bound by project management, bound by scope, all good, until it is not. Now, other thing also is like, it gives you static performance, right? In my opinion. Now, what I call that, split that word, not out of the box. Just think through it, outside of the box. What is outside of the box? Going above and beyond. Listen to the customer, what he's looking for. Yes, our product does this out of the box, but he wants something else which can be done without much of intervention, without much of problem. Can we do it? How much time it takes? How much money it takes? But is it like worthwhile investment now for the future ROI? So with that being said, if you try to go above and beyond, that is like reaching greater heights in the services area, which I love to do. And that would be like absolutely a better return on investment and also a superior TCO, total cost of ownership, would be like much better. Now the thing is, all it takes is a little bit of a thinking, a little bit of a balance. a delicate balance. It's easier said than done, but when it comes to implementing in reality, we just have to strike that balance. Don't say no immediately. Agree to disagree, and then slowly. So never interrupt. Instead, interject certain ideas, certain solutions. You never know that the customer would like, oh man, I didn't even think about that. That's a great idea. Yes, we'll certainly do this way. Let me scratch that. Can you do this? Yes, we can do this. That's how you need to try and see where you can strike a balance and try to bring that success back rather than arguing what is just out of the box. So that I do only that. It's adamance. Instead, just be a little bit flexible. Don't go beyond that line. Don't go below that line.
That's excellent advice, and I think the art to do that takes real experience and knowledge. And I loved when you said, don't just start by disagreeing. Don't just disagree with your management. And part of that is because they can't understand. Experience with them on a journey, pointing out, repeating, pointing out, showing. And that may not win the day, but it's far better than losing without trying, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, to add on top of that would be also, if you think about it, at some point, I'm a vendor and I'm servicing customer. At some point, I'm a customer. At this point, if you think about it, I'm a customer and I'm expecting the vendor to come and service me. Now, as a customer, can I make the vendor do better for me rather than just saying, hey, I'm paying money. I own the product. I signed the contracts. Now you're obligated to deliver. That's a different tone, different approach. So I would say it like this. If a customer expects the vendor to deliver, that's what is going to happen in 80% of the time, right? That's what we have seen because the customers pay the money. They get an upper hand. Now what happens? The vendor tries to execute, to deliver what is in the paper. Now, also within time frame, within scope, within budget, because the customer expects the vendor to deliver. Now, the engagement, if you think about it in that model, it becomes a little rough, or it is like sort of monotonous. Go in, talk about it, come out. Go in, talk about it, come out. There is no a good relationship there. Now, at the same time, the responsibility of that implementation from professional services perspective or from the implementation deployment perspective, the responsibility is not shared. It's sort of like, oh, you want it. The focus is on you want it. It's just about time and money. Whereas if I am as a customer, go to the vendor and say, I need your help. Rather than saying, I need you to deliver, instead of that, if I say, I need your help, imagine what is going to happen. It is going to be not about delivering to the obligation, delivering to what is in the paper, delivering just out of the box. They are going to think outside of the box. They are going to think, how can I help this team better? They're so nice. And at the same time, if you see, not everything is material, they would think that not everything is material. And we're going to go like I said, the vendor now is motivated to go above and beyond, and they're going to think that nothing is not always money comes in the picture, and they're going to like improve, go above. The responsibility is going to be now shared, and so it is not always vendors. Sometimes the customers also have to at least go to the habit of being nicer. Just because I'm a customer, I'm not God. God knows the difference between a doctor, right? And there is one of those serial I saw. It was a really good line. One younger student goes and say, "I can save this guy," and then the senior says, "Yes, but not in this case." He goes, "No, I can." And then the senior surgeon says, "There is only one difference between God and a doctor. Do you know what it is?" And then the guy says, "No." He says, God knows he's not a doctor. Right? And that's where the experience comes into picture.
Yeah. I have a son who's a high-end doctor. I'll use that before the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, that was super. Just super. So, and it's such a delight to talk to you. It always is. It's such a delight. Tell us a couple of things that you would want people to really keep in mind.
100%. So again, going back to professional services, where majority of my career was and is going to be, because I need to follow my own rules. So even though I'm not professional services now, like I said, my team talks to another application development team or database team or whoever it is. They are our customers. So always keep that in mind. Services motto. I believe, I remember saying to maybe your team or maybe somebody else, if you think about communication, it is just messaging. Somebody may have a great communication skill. Somebody's pronunciation may not be that great, but the intention is great. What you need to look at is not how the person is communicating, what the person is communicating. That's number one. And then we can go and say, okay, you said this, but you could have said this better. In terms of internal team development, you said the great thing, right idea. Let's say it this way. Now, that being said, I have I have been working with, say, again, don't think of me to be a racist. I'm just saying as an example. I worked with Indians. I worked with Asians. I worked with Australians, UK people. Everybody have their own way of speaking, their own pronunciation, their own slang, and so. Have you heard about like people saying instead of services? Have you heard some people saying service? I do service, service. Sometimes it's a service. And I was thinking, instead of saying, going back to the guy and say, hey, it's not service, it's services. Instead of saying that, I was thinking, he said service. What is it I can learn from it? Rather than correcting the other person. Serve, we, us. I was thinking, serve, we, us. Instead of serve, you, I. So I, if you think I, that's a problem. If you think we, teamwork. So services should always be done or delivered as we and us, not you and I. So it promotes teamwork, it promotes collaboration, it promotes some sort of an environment where people would like to work with pleasure rather than work with stress. So that service, the guy, how he pronounced it, service. So think of positives and all negatives. That is something that I try to follow as and when I can. And that's something I can share to anybody. Just try to look at all the positives, keep the negatives out, and try to see if you can make something out of it.
Good. So, as you moved from one last thing, as you moved out of PS to a broader leadership role, what do you miss about PS?
So,
if anything at all.
Well, I do. So, especially what happens is now I work for this one large organization. There's a lot of customers. Like I said, I don't miss that part. But what I miss is personally going to different environments where in the previous employment, I go to customer A, customer B, customer C. In like, say, 4 weeks or 3 weeks, I see 3 different customers. What I'm getting out of that, maybe occasionally all 3 customers ask the same thing. So if I address one customer's request, it's like one stone, not anymore. I don't like to kill birds. So one stone, 2 birds. No, I would like to say it this way: one stone, 2 mangoes. Mangoes, right? Now here it's one stone, 3 mangoes. That is great. But what is happening there? I'm not learning a lot. I learned once. I'm executing the learning to the remaining all the other customers. If the customers provide me challenge, 3 different customers say 3 different things, and I need to address 3 different requests, I'm learning more. And that I am missing. The opportunity to learn newer things, to learn more and more and more. Why? Because see, you cannot be always hungry to eat real food, but you should be always hungry to learn. Because in my language that I used to speak, language called Tamil, there is a nice line. The more you learn, the more you get to know, you want to like learn more and more and more. If you just say that I'm done, I've learned all this, that means your learning stops. If you think that I think I need to learn more, I think I'm not there yet, I think I can learn more, that means it just makes you keep going, keep going, keep going. Slowly raise the bar, up, 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 and up. Because if you're not continuing that learning, you're not updating yourself, you're outdated. Within days, you'll be outdated. Have you all not thought about this era like computers, and then eventually slowly went to databases, and then slowly went to big data, and then all of a sudden it's cloud, and all of a sudden it's AI. The only thing that is never going to change is change. Adapting to the change is the most important, at the same time most difficult thing. And that includes the professional services. Customers don't want to adopt a new change because they, for example, data security. I need to protect the data. Now I need to like do this, do that, do this, do that. I have budgeting, resourcing, and knowledge, skills. Lots of different variations they may come into bring to picture, but it's up to us to tell them what is the right thing to do. Yeah, it takes time. It takes money. Yes. So
Yeah,
always learning.
no, I think it's a great point, right? And that thirst for knowledge is, as soon as you lose that, to your point, you lose the ability to grow and expand and continue to differentiate yourself. And I think that becomes such a challenge when people feel like they are the expert on something, and then they give up the effort of trying to continually learn and get better. I think I also kind of apply that to organizations, right? You get those organizations that have been successful because they're doing something and they're leading the market in something, and they do lose sight of what's actually happening boots on the ground. And that's where our sales team in particular, our professional services, those are that are the closest to the customers, are seeing all of the things changing. And if organizations continue to make decisions, the ivory tower type decisions, and not rely on professional services, which is the leading indicator of what the market actually needs within your organization, if we're not tapping into that, then we will find ourselves behind competition sooner rather than later, and we'll be missing the market, and we'll be stuck. So it's a lesson at an individual level, but we've all seen too many organizations that have suffered that same complacency when it comes to continued innovation and knowledge, and not tapped into the people that know it and see it, or they don't get into the weeds themselves.
Absolutely. For me, I would say, again, advices and suggestions to provide to others without them asking is worthless. Advices and suggestions are to be sought. When you talk, then it makes sense. Because there are a lot of people that are ready to provide advice without knowing the implications, without knowing how much of this. YouTube doctors, YouTube dietitians. It's good, but at the same time, it is up to the people what to take, what to leave. So there is always a risk. And that being said, advices are to be sought, and then only we need to speak. So that being said, there is one another little story that I can tell about. So essentially, when I was delivering services, right, like I said, I was wearing many hats in one of those training sessions, and I'm telling there's 18 people in that session, and during it's just after COVID, and so it's all remote, but screen share with Zoom or maybe Teams, I don't remember, whatever it is, but remote session. We have practical sessions happening, and one of the guys like saying, "How do I do this?" And I said, "I'm giving a command. Execute this command on this machine. Go into the home directory." And then the guy says, within a few seconds, "Hey, Anand, I'm getting an error." Okay, what error? It says "go not found." So the person is literally typing "go into home directory." So now the 18 people there, I'm the only one that is odd man out, like vendor. Remaining all is the customer. Now I can say a few things that would look that other person bad, as well as the other people. I can just make jokes on stuff, but no, that's not the intention. That should never be the intention. Don't judge anybody. Let them be. Instead, in that case, what I did is what I can tell. I said, can you share the screen? He shared the screen. I saw he typed that. Without putting a smile or without putting any laughter, jokes, anything like that, I simply said, um, you're an extraordinary ETL developer. You are an extraordinary data guy that works with tools such as Informatica, Data Stage. I worked with you, but I just have a curious question. Are you a Linux guy or a Windows guy? He said, I'm a Windows guy. I'm an ETL guy. And I said, that's perfectly fine. That's why it's my bad. Instead of telling you go to the home directory, I should have given you the exact command like cd/opt/protegrity or whatever that the Oracle, whatever that company name. I should have given that command exactly rather than telling like assuming that he knows and say go to home directory. So I took the blame. It is not to just to have people like appreciate me. No, just to keep that person out of judgment from others. This guy didn't even know what is the basic command. Why is he here, right? So I just want to safeguard that person. That promotes teamwork. The next time, what happened? Every single time when I have to work with that company, and that guy is the front end that I need to work with, he says, I want to work only with Anand. I can't even deploy my team. Always I have to go. I'm a director and I cannot go. The guy says, I want to work with you, only you. Because that gave him that trust, that gave him that comfortability. If everybody can do this, then that's where I'm saying, take responsibility. It's a own responsibility. Don't put the responsibility on others. Don't judge, let them be.
Listen, this has been fantastic. We're going to have you back, and I want to take on some more topics. You're just such a joy to be with. I would say, in summary, we've learned more about how to deal with people effectively than in any other conversations we've had. And so we look forward to having you back, and just I hope you had a good time today.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Of course, you also have a great rest of the day, and I think it's just the start of the week, so I'd say great rest of the week, and eventually, if we don't speak before the weekend, have a great coming weekend as well.
Thank you, Anand.
Well, I thought that was great. I particularly liked, and we talked to him just a little about that at the end. He's very interested in moving humans, and very confident about moving humans in a non-confrontational, supportive way. And particularly when he was talking about PS having leaders that wouldn't let you solve my words now, he would never say this, wouldn't let you solve the customer problem, just wanted you to implement and leave. How he said, don't argue with them, win the discussion over time. And we have other people say, win the discussion with data. But clearly, and this was your point, we have to win the discussion. We need to be solving the real problems.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is in some ways not surprising, right? If you look at PS spend within big enterprises across a couple of different categories, and again, spend is driven based on what the organization is expecting of the professional services team. If you look at where the most training is invested, it is on project management type things. How do we become more efficient at delivering, right? If we look at where technology spend within professional services, it's particularly on the PSA side, but specifically about how do we drive utilization up and how do we drive cost down in terms of our delivery execution. And then if you look at where the majority of the time and the energy that's focused from an executive to a PS leader is spent on, it is around your margin, it is around get in, get out, and how much time are we spending in these accounts. It's about how much revenue per employee we're generating on that team. And it's not about all the things that we're seeing customers demanding and we're seeing the leading professional services organizations focusing on, which is how do we actually add more value, which sometimes runs counter to all of those other investments. You need all of those things and you need that baseline, but there's a disconnect there, and we have to get not just professional services. I think a lot of our PS leaders understand this, but we have to get the enterprise to appreciate the role that PS plays, being close to the customer and actually allowing it to drive those outcomes. And whether that's agree to disagree, or whether that's with data, or whether that's just, win those little battles over time, whatever that is, we're all kind of fighting the same fight, which is professional services needs to play a more strategic role and have a more meaningful seat at the table. And that is not just about margin optimization in most organizations.
Yeah, and I'm very happy about the the new survey that we're doing that you're sponsoring. That is just getting people to answer where are you in the journey and what do you need to make the journey and how do you educate your organization. So that's great. So take us home.
Yep. Thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe YouTube and your podcast channels. Also, feel free to reach out to Dean and I on LinkedIn and connect with us that way, or send us an email at podcast@consultantsway.com. Thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.